All right, I got to take some time to address this here.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Did you hear about the latest shocking twist in the world of celebrity scandals? Picture this: on the very day Diddy got arrested, Marjorie Harvey decided it was a perfect moment to file for divorce from Steve Harvey. Coincidence? Some people think not. In fact, this whole situation is stirring up all kind of wild rumors that tie Steve Harvey, the beloved T-Vost and comedian, right into Diddy's downward spiral. But let's take a step back and look at how all this came crashing down.
This took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
First off, in case you've been living under a rock, Diddy, or as some still call him, Puff Daddy, has been arrested. And we're not talking about a minor offense here. The charges, let's just say they're serious. We're talking conspiracy, trafficking, and even more alarming accusations that have the entertainment world gasping. But Diddy's problems don't just stop with him. Like a ripple effect, the bigger Diddy's fall gets the more people he's dragging down with him, and one of those people just might be Steve Harvey. Yeah, you heard that right, Steve Harvey. The guy who's been all smiles and dad jokes on our screens might be caught up in the same storm that's sinking Diddy.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine. But in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from. I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail.
Let's rewind a bit. For years, Diddy has been a titan in the entertainment world, building an empire from his music career, business ventures, and his flashy persona. But what we didn't see was the dark side behind all that glitz and glam. Diddy's legendary parties, rumored to be the hottest ticket in town, are now being exposed for what they really were: wild, scandalous events where anything and everything went down. And guess who's been rumored to attend some of these over the tubes, wires? Yep, none other than Steve Harvey.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jay.
Now, Steve Harvey is known for his sharp suits, his motivational speeches, and being the ultimate family man. His entire brand is built around his image as a self-made man who pulled himself up from the streets of Cleveland to become one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood. So when rumors started flying that Steve had some kind of involvement in Diddy's notorious parties, fans were absolutely floored. Could it be true? Could Steve Harvey have been part of the same circle that's now crashing down with it?
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
Let's just say where there's smoke, there's usually fire. People are now speculating that Steve wasn't just an innocent bystander. There are whispers that he knew way more than he let on, and with the kind of charges Diddy is facing, it's not hard to imagine that some pretty big names are involved. After all, Diddy's not the type to roll solo. He's been rubbing elbows with the listers for decades. But why Steve? Why now? Well, it seems that Diddy's arrest has opened a Pandora's box of secrets, and Steve Harvey's name is slowly being dragged to the mud. And I remember, I don't know if he knows what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside. But what really has people talking is the timing of Marjorie Harvey's decision to file for divorce. It's almost too perfect. Right on the very day that Diddy is taken into custody, Marjorie is already lining up to cut ties with Steve. It's as if she knows something big is about to hit, and she's trying to get ahead of it. Some people are saying this is a classic move to protect her assets, especially with all the potential lawsuits and scandals that could be coming their way. After all, Steve's fortune is huge. He's reportedly worth hundreds of millions of dollars thanks to his TV shows, book deals, and business ventures. If there's any truth to the rumors linking him to Diddy's mess, you can bet there are going to be plenty of lawyers trying to get their hands on that fortune.
I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. Mirror and Steve's relationship has always seemed picture perfect, right? The happy couple who blended their families and appeared on red carpets looking like they were straight out of a romance novel. Well, not so fast behind the scenes. There have been whispers for years that things weren't as rosy as they seemed. In fact, rumors of divorce have been circulating long before Diddy's arrest even happened to public. Just didn't know how bad things really were.
And Marjorie, the thing that Marjorie's not telling you all.
Telling everybody's
Yes,
business. Okay, now don't let me start telling Steve's business.
And now with Diddy's arrest, it looks like everything's coming to a head. There's speculation that Marjorie's sudden move to file for divorce isn't just about ending her marriage. It's about protecting the Harvey empire. Imagine if Steve's connection to Diddy gets fully exposed and Marjorie's wealth is at risk of being tied up in the fallout. It makes perfect sense that she would want to get out while she's still securing her share of the fortune before everything potentially blows up.
The evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named for.
But here's where things get even murkier. There are plenty of conspiracy theories swirling around that this whole divorce might be nothing more than a strategic move. Think about it. What if Marjorie and Steve had been planning this for months, knowing that Diddy's arrest was inevitable? By filing for divorce now, they could be trying to distance their assets from whatever legal troubles are coming Steve's way. In other words, this could all be an elaborate ploy to keep their money safe from prying hands of the law.
Please stop ignoring the red flags in your relationship and thinking you can change a man.
And let's not forget that Marjorie isn't exactly a stranger to scandal. People who've been paying attention to her past know that she's had some shady connections before. Her first 2 husbands were both involved in major criminal enterprises, which makes it hard to believe that she's just an innocent victim here. If anything, Marjorie knows how to navigate sticky situations like this, and some would argue she's been preparing for a moment like this her whole life.
But what would you say? What's been the key to our success?
The fact that you respect me and I respect you.
But let's not jump too far ahead. At the heart of all this drama is a relationship that once looked like the ultimate hole-up Hollywood love story. Steve and Marjorie Harvey have been married for over a decade, and from the outside looking in, it seemed like they had it all: fame, fortune, and a blended family that Steve constantly gushed about on his shows. Marjorie was by his side during some of his biggest moments, and together they seemed like an unstoppable power couple.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
So what went wrong was at Diddy's arrest that was a final nail in the coffin for their marriage, or had things been crumbling long before? That, if you dig a little deeper, there are signs that the cracks in their relationship have been showing for a while. Steve's been noticeably stressed in recent months, and there have been rumors of tension between him and Marjorie over their finances. Some say that Steve's been throwing himself into his work more than ever, which is often a telltale sign that something's going wrong at home.
My wife, she got up with me. She was the best.
Whatever the case, maybe Marjorie filing for divorce on the same day Diddy got arrested is no coincidence. It's almost as if she knew what was coming and decided to jump. Underscore before it was too late. And can you really blame her, with Diddy's name being dragged to the mud and Steve's name now potentially being linked to those same scandals? Marjorie is doing what anyone in her position would do, protect herself and her fortune.
That clearly there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
But here's the kicker. Some people are saying that Marjorie is not just trying to protect herself from the scandal. She's been planning this for years. In fact, there are rumors that she's been looking for an out from her marriage with Steve for a while now. Diddy's arrest just gave her the perfect excuse to finally make her move. Think about it. If Steve does end up being tied to Diddy's downfall, Marjorie can wash her hands of the whole thing and claim she had no part in it. And if Steve manages to escape unscathed, well, she's still walking away with a massive chunk of it. For my wife, she got up with me. She was the best. So is Marjorie a victim in all?
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap industry.
Imagine the headlines. If it turns out that Steve was involved in some of the scandalous activities that are now being linked to Diddy, it would be a complete 180 from the image. He spent decades building. Steve's whole career is built on being a family-friendly guy who gives relationship advice and cracks jokes about everyday life. If it turns out that he was part of Diddy's inner circle, it would shatter the public's perception of him in an instant. But here's where things get tricky. Steve's been in the industry for a long time, and he knows how to play the game if he did have any involvement in Diddy's world. He's likely been doing everything he can to keep it under wraps. But as Diddy's legal troubles pile up, there's a chance that more and more people are going to start talking. And once that happens, Steve's carefully crafted image might just come crashing down. Clip 15. The timing of all of this couldn't be worse for Steve. He's still a major figure in the entertainment world with multiple TV shows and business ventures that rely on his clean-cut persona. If these rumors turn out to be true, it could spell the end of his career as we know it. And that's not even taking into account the financial hit he could take if Marjorie's divorce goes through and she walks away with a huge chunk of his assets. Clip 6.
Stand-up comedian, entertainer, television host, family man. But most importantly, I happen to be a man of faith.
As for Marjorie, she's no stranger to scandal, and she knows how to navigate the murky waters of Hollywood. If she's truly trying to distance herself from Steve before the full extent of his connection to Diddy is revealed, it's a smart move. After all, she's got her own reputation to protect. And the last thing she needs is to be dragged down by Steve's potential downfall. But here's the thing, Marjorie might not be as innocent as she seems. People are already starting to question her motives, especially considering her past connections. It's no secret that Marjorie was once involved with some less than reputable figures before she married Steve. And some are saying that this divorce is just another calculated move in a long line of strategic decisions.
Controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
This leads us to the bigger question: is Marjorie really the victim here? Or is she playing a game of her own? Maybe Diddy's arrest was just a push she needed to finally make her move and secure her financial future. Maybe she's been planning this all along. And now that Steve's name is being dragged into the mess, she's jumping ship. While she still can, a lot of people have been quick to point out that she's not exactly strange as shady or current fact. Marjorie Harvey's history is littered with connections to some pretty questionable characters. It seems like everywhere you turn, there's another story that paints her in a much more complex light than the picture-perfect socialite we've seen by Steve's side for the last decade. Had clients describe NBC as hell as the worst conditions they've been in. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. Marjorie wasn't always living a luxurious life. We see her flaunting today on Instagram jet, setting to exotic locations, and rubbing elbows with celebrities. Long before she became Mrs. Steve Harvey, Marjorie was linked to some serious trouble. She was previously married to two different men who were heavily involved in less than legal activities, and their connections have cast a long shadow over her reputation ever since. Let's first say that you shouldn't feel guilty for anything. First, there's Jim Townsend, her first husband, who was a major figure in a large criminal ring. He was sentenced to life in prison, and while Marjorie was never formally charged with any wrongdoings, there have been persistent rumors that she knew far more about his operations, and she let on some even say that authorities were building a case against her at the time, and it was only because Tosan struck a deal with the fountain in AA, a Fed, that she managed to avoid legal trouble. He served 26 years before receiving a pardon, and during his time behind bars, Townsend reportedly started writing a tell-all memoir about his life with Marjorie in it. He supposedly claims that Marjorie was no innocent bystander, and while she divorced him before he'd served 5 years of his sentence, the details of their relationship raise a lot of questions about what...
You are the prize. Don't give yourself to anybody.
And then there's Donald Woods, Marjorie's second husband, who also has ties to illegal activities, which too found himself on the wrong side of the law, leaving Marjorie with another cloud of suspicion hanging over her head. It's clear that she's had her fair share of involvement with powerful men who weren't exactly walking the straight and narrow. So when we look at the current situation with Steve Harvey, it's hard to ignore Marjorie's past and wonder if her motivations aren't as pure as they might seem. Could it be that Marjorie has a pattern of aligning herself with men who live in the fast lane and then jumping ship when things start to go? So a theory that's gaining traction, especially as people start connecting the dots between her previous marriages and her current situation. Marjorie has always seemed to have a knack for finding herself at the center of some serious drama, and the timing of her divorce filing right on the heels of Diddy's arrest has only added more fuel to the fire. Clip.
Of course, there's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
It's him actually released them. And let's not forget that this isn't the first time Marjorie's been tied to Diddy. Remember a few years back when Lori Harvey, Marjorie's daughter, was linked to Diddy in a romantic way. The tabloids had a field day with that one Lori, who was in her early 20s at the time, was seen hanging out with Diddy, sparking all kinds of rumors about their relationship. People were shocked, especially since Lori had previously been linked to Diddy's son, Justin Toms. That's right, Lori was rumored to have dated both father and son at different points in time, which raised a lot of eyebrows and left people questioning what Marjorie thought of the whole situation. You are the prize. Don't give yourself to anybody.